social cam. Welcome to my channel, Ani Ting Ting. Okay, my name is Amadi Saleme. My number is 29. Today is my holiday, so I appoint with my friends to revise American literature lessons.
Hey Annie, are you live now?
Yes! Okay, let's get to know my friends.
Hi, my name is Rina, number 25.
Hi, my name is Nur Hayati. My number is 12.
Hi, my name is Sunisa, number 30.
Hi, my name is Rohana Wehayi, number 55.
Ding, 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 ding.
Annie, are you read it?
I read it, but I can't catch up it in some parts. Also, the exam is around the corner.
I'm worried about it too. Guys, don't worry anymore. Why? Because I have one video to show you all. That is very video.
Really?
Yes, of course. I'm not kidding.
So, what we are waiting for? Let's start.
Okay.
The colonial period is the period from the 16th to the 18th century. The colonial period began with colonists and settlers founding the first colony at Jamestown, Virginia. This colony established by Captain John Smith, who is the key person behind of the success establishing Jamestown colony. During this period, many European nations shared in the colonization of America continent, and before the European arrival at the New World, it was occupied by Old World. The New World community was multiracial and multicultural. These immigrants from the European continent brought various languages, culture, creed, and patterns of living to the New World. So, the New World was described like the melting pot because the people who were multicultural lived together as a new nation. In other words, it is most commonly used to describe the assimilation of immigrants to the United States. In addition to immigrants from various European countries, there are black slaves from Africa and American Indians who were native of the New World. The colonial period led to the creation of a new nation called the United States of America.
English settlement. The motive for causing people emigrate from Europe are many reasons, such as suffer from poverty, political oppression, and from injustice in the old world. The important reasons for immigration to the New World are 2 points. They desire for economic opportunity and the yearning for religious freedom. The first permanent English settlement in North America was established at Jamestown, Virginia in 1607. Under the leadership of Captain John Smith, most of the initial settlers were adventurers and seekers of treasure. The second permanent English settlement was Plymouth Colony in 1620, headed by William Bradford. The founders of this colony were separatists from the Church of England, who were called Pilgrims. The third permanent English settlement was the Massachusetts in 1630, under the leadership of John Winthrop. The founders of Massachusetts were a large band of Puritans.
The Revolutionary and Early National period, 1765 to 1830. The 18th century was the great century of change and of revolution in religious, social, and governmental thinking. 18th century American witnessed significant changes in their life, as well as demographic, economic, and political changes. In many ways, the alteration in the colonial demography and economy, which occurred in the first half of the century, contributed to the key political events, the Revolutionary War, that took place in the later part of the century. The population of the colony was rapidly increasing as a result of massive migration. This result is more ethnic diversity, religious difference, and disinterest in the English monarchy. In the westward movement, there rapidly developed a volunteer spirit of independence, self-reliance, and toughness. The Enlightenment. During the 18th century, people believed that reason and science, not religion, would advance human progress. Science as the analysis of nature advanced significantly after Isaac Newton formulated the concept of an orderly systematic universe, governed by immutable natural laws and discoverable only by reason through science. The 18th century people were also influenced by the theory of John Locke, who believed man was born with a mind entirely blank, without idea of good or evil, and become a sinner later.
Romanticism as term derives from romance, which from the medieval period that was aventuristical and improbable. Romance are distinguished from novel, which emphasize the mundane and realistic. The Romantic period refers to literary and cultural movement in England, Europe, and America, roughly from 1770 to 1860. The movement begins in Germany with the publication of Goethe's Sorrow of Young Werther, then goes to England. Romanticism doesn't appear in the United States until Irving and Emerson are writing. American Romantics tend to venerate nature and also self-reliant individualism. Part of socially, American Romantics are usually radically egalitarian and politically progressive. American Romantics will use symbols, but their style is often very original and not rule.
The Realistic period, 1865 to 1914, the half-century from the Civil War, 1861 to 1865, to the outbreak of World War, was an epoch of dynamic change in American life and of corresponding developments in literature. Throughout the conquered Southland, people suffered from the continued effect of economic collapse and the shabby and inhumane policy of Reconstruction. The population in all big and small cities expanded rapidly. Although the majority of Americans still held on to the American dream, the belief that hard work, honesty, and reverence would ensure economic success, national harmony, and individual well-being, they worshipped economic progress and wealth. This was the era of the millionaire manufacture and the speculator, when driving evolution and the survival of the fittest seemed to sanction the sometimes unethical methods of the successful business tycoon. The constant influx of immigrants provides a seemingly endless supply of inexpensive labor as well. From 1816 to 1914, the United States has become a major world power. Such a presidential change gave rise to political problems, social disorder, and intellectual upheavals that forced Americans' right to access and reflect the realities of their times, the literature of American life, by turning from romanticism and transcendental optimism towards a franker portrayal of society and of human nature. The major literary movements of this period were realism, regionalism, and an offshoot of realism called naturalism.
Realism. Realism is a literary movement from the late 19th century and from around 1860 to 1914, and they started in the United States during the Civil War, where people were wanted to report about what was really happening during the war. It focused on detailed portrayal of life. People wanted to be realistic, careful, objective observation. They wanted it also to be scientific and careful and unreal. And it focused on the middle or lower classes, and it was developing setting to recreate a specific time and place, so that the reader can sort of see that time in place and see the place that the person. What was it is writing without sentiment, that's feeling or idealism. It is now part of our writing that's tradition-based, reflected in news and journalistic writing. What we will look at in our class will be Mark Twain's observations about Chinese immigrants and a disgraceful persecution of a boy. Regionalism. Regionalism is an offshoot of realism. They focus on capturing the life of people in a specific geographical area, realistic descriptions of physical appearance, dialect, custom and beliefs, physical environment. It is part of our writing tradition, best reflected in contemporary fiction, and is used in all genres, especially westerns. What we will look at in our class will be Bret Harte's Outcast of Poker Flat, which is a straight western story about a gambler and his survival when he's been kicked out of the town of Poker Flat. Naturalism. Naturalism again is also an offshoot of realism. So it is good to have realistic elements involved, and it focuses on common people and ordinary life. The belief that instinct and environment affects human behavior, and so it is best reflected in our writing that is like psychological or sociological, whether it is fiction or non-fiction. What we will look at is Gilman's The Yellow Wallpaper, that talk about the environment. We will begin with industrialism. The period facing America between World War I and World War II is characterized as a United States dramatic coming of age, in which American perception of the world lost its casualties. The next event to consider is World War I and life before World War II. World War I took place between 1914 until 1918, and it saw destruction beyond belief. Hundreds of thousands died in single battles, and 37 million died as a result of the war. In the post-war big boom, there was an increase in business and education. Also, in this period, an automobile became the ultimate status symbol and have many benefits such as electric light and telephone. Post-war boom leads to the Roaring Twenties, the rise of jazz and the flappers, and the rebelling against tradition. Also in this period was the Harlem Renaissance and the rise of the black heritage in literature and art. Unfortunately, the 1930s became dominated by the Great Depression. The Roaring Twenties set up for economic collapse in 1929. Market collapse set up the Great Depression, which would plug the economy throughout the 1930s. The World Depression of the 1930s affected most of the population of the United States. Workers lost their jobs and factories shut down. It's making matters worse in Midwest poor weather conditions and dismal agricultural technique caused the Dust Bowl, which displaced millions of farmers, which now had to find work somewhere else in the United States.
Modern psychology had a profound impact on the literature of the early 20th century, and most great modernist writers were interested in the working of human mind. According to modernists, human thought did not always follow this straight line pattern, but leaped from association to association, a process described by William James as stream of consciousness. Moreover, free verse is the tool of most modernist poets, and even if poet written some rhymes, the poet rarely put them in the usual places. Furthermore, modernist literature is often fragmentary, reflecting not only the stream of consciousness, but the modernist perception of the 20th century as a jumble of conflicting ideas. Lastly, modernists often insist that their readers participate and draw their own conclusions. The modernist chose rather than tells.
Finish! Okay, social cam, we have to go now because we all hungry right now. So I have to end this video. If you like this video, please share and subscribe it. Okay? Bye!
Slogan.
Oh, okay. Slogan. 1, 2, 3.